Imagine the streets of New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina, 2005. Homes flattened, families displaced, chaos reigning. But amid the rubble, a new wave is crashing in, not water, but corporations poised to swoop in. What if I told you this was no accident, no natural recovery? It's a calculated economic blitz known as disaster capitalism, a term Naomi Klein coins to expose the shocking playbook hidden behind the headlines. Klein starts us in Chile, 1973, where a brutal coup sets the table for economic upheaval under the watchful eye of Milton Friedman. It's more than politics. It's a masterclass in exploitation. After Pinochet's 1973 coup, Chile became a testing ground for Friedman's radical free market policies. Within hours, state-run industries were stripped down, unions crushed, and social programs dismantled, all while ordinary Chileans were left reeling from violence and fear. Klein shows us how this swift economic shock reshaped a nation, making it a blueprint for disaster capitalism worldwide. Shock therapy isn't just economics, it's a calculated takeover strategy. Picture a boxer staggering from a punch. The aggressor doesn't give them time to recover but lands a brutal combo. That's how disaster capitalism works, using crises to disorient populations, then pushing through unpopular privatization and deregulation before anyone can resist. This approach flips crisis on its head. Disasters don't just destroy, they create market opportunities. Klein reveals a terrifying insight. These transformations aren't spontaneous responses but a systemic plan where chaos becomes the fuel for corporate profits, embedding inequality deeper and sparking conflicts about what freedom really means. Fast forward to 2005's Hurricane Katrina. Instead of just rebuilding, powerful interests use the disaster to sell off public assets. The devastation becomes a launchpad for a corporate gold rush. In New Orleans, as floodwaters settled, the city's public schools were decimated. Enter corporate education chains and charter networks who didn't just help rebuild. They replaced entire public systems with private, profit-driven models. Klein shows us how the disaster was weaponized, turning the city's trauma into a multi-million-dollar privatization spree. Disaster capitalism thrives on privatizing the emergency itself. Imagine calling in private contractors to clean up after a fire. Only these firms also control rebuilding permits, housing allocation, even social welfare. Klein's vivid reporting exposes how this privatized response shifts power from elected officials to profit seekers, rewriting who holds the authority in recovery. But here's the kicker. Under the guise of modernization, public resources vanish, inequality deepens, and communities lose their voices forever. Klein drives home a chilling fact. Disasters don't just displace people physically, but politically and economically too, creating what she calls a permanent state of shock. From war zones in Iraq to tsunami-ravaged Sri Lanka, Klein maps a chilling global pattern. Disasters are systematically exploited to impose harsh economic agendas. After the U.S. invasion of Iraq, beauty salons and small businesses weren't just collateral damage. They vanished from the landscape, replaced by foreign contractors and privatized utilities. Klein highlights how the chaos of occupation was used to rewrite Iraq's economy, embedding multinational corporations in ways few inside or outside the country fully grasped. In Sri Lanka, the 2004 tsunami wiped out entire coastal communities. Rather than empower locals, reconstruction contracts were funneled to large private developers, who quickly transformed the shoreline into exclusive resorts. Klein's reporting uncovers this privatization spree as not recovery, but corporate conquest, turning tragedy into profit margins. What ties these stories together? A global game plan, disaster capitalism. Klein exposes this not as random opportunism, but as the violent, deliberate culmination of decades-long economic theory turned practice. The Shock Doctrine has become a dark global script where trauma is the price of market freedom. Remember New Orleans' flooded streets? What felt like a natural disaster was the cover story for a corporate takeover, played out again and again worldwide. Klein's Shock Doctrine teaches us to look past chaos and spot the economic sharks circling beneath. Next time disaster strikes, ask, who's really rebuilding? Try this, follow the money flow after crisis, and you might just glimpse the real story. Subscribe for more book summaries like this one.